So let's start talking about how do we start this conversation. If you recall earlier, I mentioned most Christians have two problems. They don't know how to bring up the issue of their faith with people they know and they meet in life, or if it comes up, they're not sure what to do next other than invite them to church. Well, the way we're going to show you how to do this with the relational evangelism, we're going to show you how to start a conversation with somebody, and then if they're interested in hearing about Christ, what do you do? And our form of doing this, our manner of doing this, is we start by showing interest in the other person. And the end goal of this one conversation is not to talk about Jesus or God or the Bible or church or my testimony. My goal is to find out if they would be interested in sitting down with me over the next 4 weeks, once a week, for maximum an hour, really for about a 35-minute lesson, and going through one lesson a week. That's my goal. I want to find out if they'd like to go through these lessons with me. If they aren't interested, I can't do it. But if they are, we'll set them up and go on from there. This conversation is so simple. We're going to show you how to carry this out. And we learn how to approach people in a way that we have an acrostic that's called FORM, F-O-R-M. And if you can remember FORM, you can remember how to start a conversation with anybody, anywhere, at any time. This has been a lifesaver for me when I learned this many, many years ago. And I've had others tell me, even preachers tell me, man, I've relied on that for decades. So we start, at the start, we're not there to preach the gospel or to convert them or give our testimony or invite them to church. My goal is to set up these 4 lessons. And if interested, we take willing listeners through these 4 lessons, 1 lesson a week, normally go to their home or wherever they feel comfortable with, and take them through the 4 lessons. And in this way, people are not pressured or forced or rushed into making a decision in the heat of a moment where I just meet them on the street and I start preaching to them, and 5, 10, 15 minutes later ask them if they want to make a decision for Jesus. There's time for them to ponder about this. First off, there's time for them to learn what they're being asked to do, what they're getting into. We don't pressure them into doing something they may not be ready to do. The pressure for coming to Christ will come from the Holy Spirit. Now, while not everyone we make this offer to will want to go through the 4 lessons, we need to make the offer. And we can make the offer without risking or damaging our relationship with them for the future by getting overly pressuring on them. And so we're given the privilege and the joy of helping others make a decision to follow Jesus. And those that we walk through the lessons with us have every reason to feel loved and respected and valued by God and by us. And we'll be earning the right to be heard by this approach to them. And we'll be sharing the good news with them, the bio. It's important, too, to understand that the 4 lessons of It's All About Relationship, they're printed, and I go through the same format with everybody with a little tweaking, a little bit of variance from person to person, but it eliminates the fear again, or the thinking that every time I meet a different person, I have to recreate or reinvent how I'm going to share the gospel with them. It's not freewheeling, working out of my hip pocket every time. I don't have to recreate the approach every time. It's not forced. And I like to think of it, and this is part of when Jackson Endicek said, this whole approach is profoundly unique. Part of what makes this profoundly unique is what I call TTT. It's their terms, their turf, their time. So the approach we're going to be showing you here is, it's all based on their terms. Now, what I mean by that is we're only going to do this if you're interested. If you're not interested, we don't do it. If you are, great. Let's set up a time and we'll get started. It's not forced against your will. I don't come up to you on the street and start preaching Jesus at you, and you're wanting to plug your ears like, oh no, how to get out of the situation. It's on your terms. If you're interested, we do it. If you're not, it's not going to happen. And then your turf. Now, it could be your territory also. It could mean that. So we don't do these lessons at a church location or facility. That's my turf. That's my territory. And most unbelievers are going to feel uncomfortable there. So when we offer this to people, we most normally say, I'll be glad to come to your house to do it. Now, if there's some reason they feel uncomfortable doing it there, we can say, well, how about if we meet at a restaurant or a park or your office or wherever would feel comfortable. It could be at my house. But it's on your turf. They feel uncomfortable in my place. My dad was a skeptic until he was 79. And I just remember him saying many times as I was growing up, the only way you'll ever get me in a church building is in a coffin, in a box. And that's how a lot of unbelievers feel about it. They walk in those doors and they're immediately nervous. They're afraid the roof's going to fall in because they're there. And so it's on your term. And then your time. This is not, hey, if you're interested in finding about Jesus, you can come to church at 11 o'clock Sunday morning. And then if you're sitting there and I make an announcement, if you really want to find out about Jesus, you come to a class we have this afternoon at 3 o'clock, and we'll have childcare, and we're going to be serving pizza, and won't go over 2 hours. And no. When we do this, it's on your time. When would be convenient for me to get together with you to share these 4 lessons with you? Again, I come to your house, and so it's on your terms if you're interested, and it's on your territory, your turf, where we feel comfortable, and it's on your time. What time works for you? So I need to work out in a mutual agreement. If it's Tuesday night and my daughter's getting married, I can't do it Tuesday night, but how about Wednesday night or Thursday night, or if I've got a work commitment or something else that I really can't change. So TTT, your terms, your turf, your time.